Hey guys, what is going on? Joe and Mike back here again. Both of us seem to be in the wilderness today. Um, and I gotta be honest with you guys. I've been slacking. I had a I had a busy weekend, so I wasn't able to record any pods for Friday, Saturday, and today's Monday. So obviously, I would be doing Sunday today regardless. But we're gonna have to cover Friday and Saturday as well. Um, I don't think it's that big a deal. It's probably going to be a normal length episode just because of how few games were being played because it was 6 and 7 territory. So should just be an episode as usual. It just so happens that we're covering games a little further back. Mike, how art thou today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm tired, but I'm here. So
Is ain't we all? But yeah. Without further ado, let's wait for this big ass truck to go by. And let's get into game 6 of the Magic, not to be confused with game 7, which was obviously played last night, because we have not discussed game 6 on the channel. And I think it's definitely something that needs to be discussed, especially with the upcoming series against the Celtics. So to start that game, I thought Jalen Suggs was incredibly impressive the whole game, but definitely to start, there was a point where Orlando was just tossing the ball around, doing whatever. Suggs had to save it quite a few times. Both of them were going nuts covering the paint. Obviously, you got Mobley in there for the Cavaliers, blocking virtually everything because that's just how he works. Suggs was a huge player for Orlando in the first half. Garland came in the first half for the Cavaliers. Mitchell also was obviously there, but that goes without saying because Garland, like I said, he's been hit or miss this series, but he picked up his slack, especially toward the end. And then a 13-2 Cavs run to start the third, mostly Donovan Mitchell, just because he's been unbelievable. Although Garland had this crazy left hook layup, like he ran like under the back. I mean, it's probably a normal ass layup, but still impresses me. Mitchell had 32 points to end the third. He ended the game with 50. The Cavaliers only had 18 points in the fourth quarter. Now, I'm no math whiz, but judging by that, it seems as though the entire cumulative roster of the Cavaliers in the fourth, with the exception of Mitchell, scored zero. And the Magic won that game. I mean, that's unacceptable. We'll get back to the Cavaliers. I'm sure you have your say on it, Mike. But Cole Anthony was huge. He made some great plays. Suggs took a 3-point lead with a three. Mitchell answered it, but then Banchero just started going off. Um, Mitchell ended obviously 50, Garland 21, Strus, the next highest scorer, had 10. Everyone else was below 5. Everyone else was below 5. Mobley, he might get off a little bit of a hook because he played great defense, but really shouldn't. Banchero 27, Wagner 26, Suggs 22. Cavaliers led the field goal percentage 49-39, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, what say you about the Cavs, Mike? What why did this happen?
well, it's interesting because first of all, I think that the way the Magic played in that game 6, I think that as the years go on and this Magic team continues to get better and hopefully they stick around together, I think this will
Hmm.
be seen as like one of the more important games for all their careers. Like just from a standpoint of like how young they are at this current time and like what they were able to do in such like a high pressured situation. So I'll just get that right off the bat when it comes to the Magic.
Yep.
Um, but the Cavs, interestingly enough, I mean, yeah, it doesn't look great on them because Mitchell scored all of their 18 points in the fourth. Um, I mean, the Cavs just aren't a great team. I mean, it's really what I think it comes down to. But funny enough, even though they lost that game, this was the exact reason why I said to you in the last couple pods that I would rather play a team that doesn't have a superstar versus a team that has a superstar. Because yes, the
Mhm.
rest of the Cavaliers didn't show up, but Donovan Mitchell, when you have somebody who can get you 50 points and can score, can carry a team in the fourth quarter, it always makes series a lot more difficult, and that always extends series because he ends up having one of those games, and all that has to happen here is one or two other Cavs players has to just somewhat step up in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So I think that kind of for me like solidified that, like, I think I said to you yesterday, like, I don't care who we play, and I don't, but I think that kind of solidifies my theory of, like, I'd rather play the team that doesn't have the superstar when it comes to two teams that aren't that good. I think that that's really what the outlier is. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like, I was very like Evan Mobley, I thought played terrible. Marcus Morris played bad, but I mean, pretty much everyone played bad for the most part on the Cavs. I feel like besides what Mitchell, Garland played pretty good. Struss, actually thought played okay. Um, but yeah, that is basically my thoughts on that.
Yeah, the what was I gonna say? 15 offensive rebounds for the Magic. Not to spoil anything, but we will also see again that second chances for the Magic were huge in Game 7 as well. Um, oh geez. The Cavaliers were 5 for 10 from the free throw, and the Magic were 22 for 26. So I'm not gonna say anything about that because I wasn't totally invested on that game. I think I was at work during it, so I was watching it, during my breaks. But to think what you want about that. And the last thing I'll say about this game, because obviously we got a more important game to talk about in this series, is this marks the second highest score for an individual player in Cavaliers playoff history. I don't think I got to take a guess as to who number one is. I heard them say that on the radio. They didn't even bother saying who number one is. So I think we can all assume. Do you think if Donovan Mitchell stays in Cleveland and they build around him and he continues to have playoff runs like this or playoff games like this, that he could become the second best Cavalier of all time, or arguably in somewhere in the top 5? I don't know too much about this team's history other than LeBron. So I just want to hear what you think Donovan Mitchell could do in terms of his legacy with the Cavaliers were he to continue playing this way.
I mean, well, honestly, no, he won't. He won't be over LeBron, and he won't be over Kyrie. Um,
Kyrie,
but
okay.
he could be top 5. I mean, the Cavs don't have much of a much of a legacy player wise besides kind of that unit. So, I mean, yeah, no, he could. Yeah, I would definitely say top 3 for sure. But interestingly enough, I just think this is a pretty fun stat. And I'm pretty sure I'm
Mhm.
right about this. Number 1 is obviously LeBron for the most points
Right.
scored in Cavs playoff series. But I think what's interesting about that is it's only 51. It's only 1 point more. And
Ooh.
it was in game 1 of the 2018 finals against the Warriors. So just a little fun.
Right. What was I gonna so like I said, last thing we're gonna talk about on it, but I don't Kyrie was there for what, like 3, 4 years, maybe? You don't think he'll
Now he was there
pass Kyrie?
about Kyrie was there about 6 years.
Oh, okay, okay. But
But here's the
you
thing,
think
Joe.
even
Here's the thing, right? Kyrie was just as important in that championship win as LeBron was.
okay.
Like, yeah, he played 6 seasons with Cleveland. He was drafted there. He unless Donovan Mitchell wins it, literally Donovan Mitchell would have to win a championship with the Cavs to surpass Kyrie. That's what.
That's entirely fair, yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into the Clippers Mavericks game. Um,
Speaking of
so
Kyrie,
this, well, yeah, let's talk about Kyrie now. But let's first start the Clippers. I don't know who they put on the bench to start the game, but they started PJ Tucker this game, which is I don't even think we've seen this guy in the playoffs for the Clippers. So that was kind of interesting, and for me
well,
especially being what.
PJ Tucker has had a lot of playoff experience, just not with the Clippers. I
Oh,
just, just
no, I know. I was
yeah.
just gonna say it's interesting for me being a Celtics fan who saw him play well for the Heat for a couple of years, and
Well,
then kind of he felt like he kind of disappeared, and now he's starting. I just thought
well,
that was interesting.
how about this too, right? He played with the Rockets when they had that Harden team that almost beat the Warriors that could have went to the finals. He was a big role in that team. Then he was part of the Bucks championship team in 2021. Got a ring with them. Then was with the
Mhm.
Heat. Then was with Philly for like the last 2 seasons, and then got traded. So yeah, I always couldn't stand him because like he would always just come in and just start hitting threes or whatever. Like he was annoying, but But yeah, you can continue.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely not denying why they started. I'm like, why would they do? I was just saying I thought it was I know he's a great player. That I when the series started, I was questioning why he wasn't at least coming off the bench. I mean, I know he's a great player,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, just some interesting change of pace for the Clippers. Right off the bat, obviously. Um, so after taking a really early lead, the Mavericks are rolling. They allow the Clippers to go for a 10-0 run to tie. Luka and Harden, I remember, had some crazy assists in the first quarter. I think they both ended up getting 13 for
Yeah.
the game. Both of them even set at 13, but they were really passing more than shooting. I guess Harden learned from his 7-point stinker or whatever you said. He was passing a lot more. And Kyrie Irving did it again. 2 points in the first half, and it was on a really easy layup. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was a great lead pass from Luka. I remember that. He went like over everybody to Kyrie. Those are his only points for the half, and then 28 in the second half. So Kyrie just does that again, which, don't know why we ever doubt Kyrie in the first place. People are like, "Oh, Kyrie at half, he needs to step up." Well, he's gonna. All right, we all know he's gonna. Zubac was a rebound away from having a double-double at the end of the first half. One can only assume he got that. It does end tied, which, if you're the Clippers, you take that. You take that first half ending tied. Um, Luka did not hit a three until the third quarter. He was 0-7 before that. Luka, I mean, he's been good, but I think I speak for everyone when he hasn't been Luka. And he got away with it in this series, especially with Kyrie stepping up so many times. But they're going on to face the Thunder. Obviously, first seed, they're gonna be on away courts again. We both think that the Mavericks are gonna take quick care of the Thunder, but it's just more time for Luka to hopefully find himself. But let's keep talking about the Clippers real quick. Westbrook, they only played him for 9 minutes. He got 6 points in those 9 minutes, and he looked fine. I don't know why they didn't play him that much. Maybe you know. But other than that, it wasn't really a close second half. There's not really too much to talk about in terms of, oh, this was crazy, because everyone knew how it was going to end going into the fourth for the most part. Norman Powell was the highest scorer for the Clippers with 20. George had 11 rebounds and 18 points. Zubac 11 and 17. Harden 13 assists, like I said, and 16 points.
And 7
Um,
rebounds.
I'm sorry.
I said and 7 rebounds, I'm pretty sure.
What about rebounds?
I said and 7 rebounds for Harden.
Oh, Harden, gotcha. So yeah, almost a triple double for Harden. So yeah, they had 4 double-digit scorers, but only one who got 20, and it was right at 20, and it was friggin' Norman Powell. So none of the Clippers really showed up in terms of scoring for this game. Kyrie had 30, Luka 13 assists and 28 points. Lively was 1 rebound away from a double-double. Obviously, we know his storyline this year, which is, you'd love to see him do well, obviously. And yeah, again, one more final fact about Luka: he was only 9 for 26 from the field. So obviously, this didn't really impact the series. They didn't make quick work of them. We didn't think they were going to. Went to 6. Some of us thought this was going to 7. I thought it probably would go to 7, but the Mavericks handled them in 6. And Luka's mediocre performance, mediocre, is overlooked. So, what do you think this says about Luka, and where do you think they go from here?
Well, a couple things, right? Just to answer that really quickly is, I don't think that I think Luka can play like this and they could still get to the Western Conference Finals or the finals because I just believe that Kyrie will continue playing the way that he's playing. And I think he's actually going to play even better. Because if there's anything we know about Kyrie is in prime form, as the series goes on, he gets better and better and he shows up. He lives for those moments. He's made one of the greatest shots of all time in the Game 7 2016 finals. One of the most clutch shots of all time, I should say. So I think what would happen though, Joe, is like if they make a deep run this year and Luka is still playing like this, I think they would kind of be like, okay, like is it Kyrie's team now? Is it not Luka's yet? Like things like that. But
Right.
again, I think Luca will show back up. I just think that the Clippers was always like a tough matchup for him. Just like
I,
defensively.
I'm
Um,
sorry to interrupt you really quick, but this it does add into that. Do you think because Kyrie in the head hasn't always been right as with the Celtics and the Nets? Do you think that Luca playing the way he is, and if it kind of does shift more towards a Kyrie focused team, this is his team. Do you think that's gonna mess with things? Do you think that's gonna like mess with Kyrie's head and kind of make him get all? Because he's been very receptive of being the second to Luca. Do you think it's gonna change anything of that?
no, no, because I think even when I mean there were plenty of moments in Cleveland where Kyrie was the number two, but was playing extremely better than LeBron. And he
Mhm.
and I say that to say that I think Kyrie has that same respect for Luka as he did for LeBron, as if like, okay, this guy is an all-time great, like, like regardless of what happens, I'm gonna help step up for him. Also, too, I think the major thing here is that we've grown to see is Kyrie has matured and is older now. So I think he's looking more from it of like I want to take the back seat and I want to try to mentor Luka. Probably things that if he was this age now and was on that Celtics team with a young Tatum and Brown, he would have done things a lot differently. But at that point, he just wasn't mature enough to do that. And I think he's kind of
Right.
even he's basically alluded to that. So no, I don't think it will. I think like it'll be like good banter for like sports television and things like that. But I don't think it will affect it. But I do also think another fun fact is before I get back to the Clippers, this is the first time that we're going to see Kyrie in the second round of the playoffs since 2019 when he was with the Celtics versus the Bucks. Because
Damn.
2021 he was hurt when the Nets got to the second round.
Mhm.
2022
Oh
they
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2022 they got swept, and 23 the Mavs didn't make the playoffs. So pretty
Dude,
cool.
I forgot about all that. Like he couldn't play an away game crap. I forgot about that. That was
Yeah.
insane.
No home games. He couldn't play home games.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Um, but no. So like as far as the Clippers go, like I don't know where you go from here. It's another season of the same thing. It is now 2021. It is now 4 seasons of damn what could have been. The first year, I don't say that because they blew a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets in the bubble and everyone was healthy. So there's just no excuse for
Huh.
that. But the last
Yeah,
three
there is a
seasons,
Jokic. That's your excuse.
well, not at that time.
I know. I know. I know.
Yeah. But I just it's the fourth season in a row. Like, damn, if Kawhi didn't get hurt, like if Kawhi didn't get hurt, what would have happened? And it's just like I don't know. The Russell Westbrook thing too. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Westbrook, he wasn't doing anything bad, but he wasn't doing anything good. So like in the playoffs, it's kind of like if you're just kind of out there taking up space, we got to get someone else in for you. So that explains why he wasn't really playing a lot. Um, but when Norman Powell is your leading scorer, you're just not going to win a basketball game. I mean, like
Yeah.
you're trying to be funny, like just not. So yeah, I really don't know where they're going to go from here. Um, I mean,
Real quickly, just to help you with that, Harden and Plumlee will be free agents after this year, and after next season, the only people who will be signed are Kawhi and Powell. So it's the last year on the contract for people like George, Terrence Mann, Tucker,
yeah, but
Zubac.
yeah, but I'm really speaking about two people. I'm really speaking about Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George, they plan on signing him an extension, so they've already kind of said that. Um,
Mhm.
and then you got Kawhi. Like those are really no offense, I really don't give a fuck about anybody else on the team because it's like if those two. Well, no, I'm just saying because like if those two, it all depends what happens with those two. Every
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So it's like so they're gonna give Paul George the extension, but it's like at the same time, it's like he's 34 and he's had all these injuries. You're gonna sign him for another 4 years, or Paul George might say, "Screw it." I can see a scenario where Paul George does say he doesn't want to stay in LA and he goes to New York. But I don't know. I doubt it, man. These guys love LA. It's a lot. It's where a lot of them are from. They don't want to leave there. So I think the Clippers are just the Clippers are just kind of stuck. I think they're going to be stuck like this for a couple more years. Plus, they got a new arena opening next year, so
Right.
they don't want to start a rebuild yet. They want to draw in tickets and all this. So like
Hmm.
they're probably going to want to re-sign James Harden. Like they want to fill the arena. So I think they're going to be stuck in this predicament for a couple more years. Not to say that they can't make a deep playoff run, but it's all going to depend on the health of Paul George and Kawhi, which is saying a lot. So yeah, I don't know.
So you think we'll see a very similar team in terms of the depth for the next couple of years for the Clippers? You think
At least next year. At least next
yeah.
year.
So Harden, you think they're gonna resign Harden?
I think so, unless Harden tries to go somewhere else for more money. But I think that that's the plan.
I always thought what would be interesting for Paul George after if he doesn't resign with the Clippers is a return to the Pacers now that I mean they beat that first round hump. They got Halliburton, they got Siakam if they choose to re-sign him because I don't know if he's signed long term there, but obviously he was a trade deadline acquisition and a lot of them aren't. So I think that I mean obviously when George was there, they had Brogdon who was playing extremely well for them, and obviously George had some of the prime years of his life there. But I mean I think they got a good setup there in Indiana, and having Paul George there healthy might push them over the edge to become a top team in the East.
Paul George, that like 2012, 2013 team, man, they had a great squad, that Pacers team. They gave the Heat a lot of trouble with the big three.
Hmm.
Like so I think you're right. Like I think that that would be an incredible story. It's like the
Yes.
KD thing, like with him going to OKC. But however, Paul George has just been very adamant on like this is where I'm from. I'm not leaving. Like I'm very comfortable here. So I do
Yep.
agree with you though that I do think that that would be like a great thing. I would love to see that, but unfortunately, I don't think it will happen.
And Joe brings up a good point. That's all I wanted. What was I going to say? I don't think we need to spend any time talking about the Thunder Mavericks matchup. I think you have said ample times on this podcast that we both, or at least I think the Mavericks are going to win. I know you think the Mavericks are going to steamroll them. So let's just save everyone some time and just jump into game one of the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. If you're ready
Real
for
quick,
that.
real quick. I want to. Can I start?
Um, yes, you go.
I don't have much to say. Um, they play tonight again, right? Yeah, they do. Okay. Um, the only thing that I really have to say is Anthony Edwards has arrived. Anthony Edwards has arrived. Anthony Edwards is a superstar. And
Yep.
what we're witnessing right now is a future like all-time great player coming
Ooh.
into his own and building a legacy. And it's really it's like he's the offspring. Like it like and when I say this, I don't mean he's the best player in the league, but what I'm saying is like entertainment value and everything, right? Like it went from Jordan to Kobe to LeBron to KD and Steph, but still LeBron, and now Anthony Edwards.
You think over Jokic?
I didn't, but I don't know if you just heard what I said or not. I said I'm not saying he's the best player in the league. That's not. It's a different conversation.
I know. I understand. I'm not saying over Jokic in terms of skill. I'm saying face of the league. I mean,
Yeah.
Jokic at the end of the year, let's face it, he's down 0-1 in the series. He could still be a back-to-back champion, and you're still taking Edwards on this without a championship to prove for him. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Joe, but Jokic doesn't want to be the face of the league. Jokic wants not. Jokic literally gets on the mic after and is like, I don't like this. Like, I don't even want to. I don't even care if I win. Like, honestly though, like
Oh no, it pisses me off. I know.
Joe, LeBron. You have to remember, LeBron was the face of the league for years before he won his first championship.
True,
So
true.
was Kevin Durant. So I think, and I know that you're saying you know what I'm saying, but I'm trying to like I don't know if you fully do because it's like box office for right like who do you want to watch play, Jokic or Anthony Edwards? It's good. Everyone's gonna be Anthony Edwards. I want to be like Anthony Edwards. He can jump through the roof. He's got these signature moves. Like So that's what I mean by that. Like he's arrived, like he's the next coming of that, in my opinion. So,
Mhm.
and I think Jokic still isn't that. And at this point, why would he become that? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make
Okay.
sense.
I
Um,
think I think just the way that Edwards started the game. If you remember when it was still 0-0, he was just like dribble. I forget who it was. It was some big guy on the Nuggets, just like defending him at the 3 line, and Edwards was just like dribbling, and then he just put the most casual, like 23.9 seconds of perfect defense three over him, and it was just I
dude,
just from that moment I was like, Edwards is not scared. He is not crumbling under the pressure of
dude,
facing the defending champions.
dude, look at the last round. He was going up against his idol and the shit he was talking to KD. And by the way, KD loved it because KD's like, hey, I was at that point at one point. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was doing when I was going up against LeBron in the finals. Like, so it's like, I don't know. It just feels, you could just feel it, man. You know, and
Mhm.
I hate to jump the gun here. I really do. But I really think the Timberwolves might beat the Nuggets. Like I really think they might.
I just think Edwards, even just bigger than that in the grand scheme of things, because if what you're saying is true, I think it would be extraordinarily huge for a team like the Timberwolves. I mean, I know I've said it to you, but I'll say it just because like maybe I haven't said it on here. Is Minnesota sports just in a sense of like me? I like the Vikings. The Wilds don't bother me. I enjoy watching the Wild. The Timberwolves have always been a great team for me. They don't have any rings, any of them. The Twins have like 2 rings in the 80s. Do we even count that? I don't know. So, just Minnesota sports in general have just kind of always been like, not necessarily bad, but not like, putting asses in chairs. No one's really been like, oh, you check out the big Minnesota game? Like maybe like 3 times in all three of those franchises' history has that happened. So I think this would just be huge for Minnesota as a state, as a sports, what you might call it, not franchise, but like all of the sports together. Having Anthony Edwards just come out as a superstar face of the league type player would be insane for all of Minnesota sports, and I really hope that you're correct on that.
Yeah, this was like LeBron with Cleveland. Like LeBron, like Cleveland had
Hmm.
when LeBron came to Cleveland, it was like that was their superstar, you know. And it's like I really do think like not only the thing is too, you see the way that Anthony Edwards teammates talk about him. They're like, no, like he's the guy. Like we're getting like
Yeah.
this is him. Like the stories you hear, it's like there's this ominous, like there's this aura around him that's like real. You know what I mean? It's like like it's not make believe, and you're sitting there watching, and you're like, this guy, he just knows it too. He's entertaining, he's got it all. Like, I don't know. I got faith in him, man.
I don't mean to you're laughing when you first hear this, but I don't mean to compare Anthony Edwards to Tom Brady. But I mean, look at what happened. Not that the Celtics or the Bruins by any means were a meaningless, faceless team before Brady got there, but look at how many championships every single team has won in New England since Brady got there. I mean, the Patriots got 6. The Red Sox have like 3 or 4. The Bruins and the Celtics split a piece and have been to the finals how many times between them? The Boston was. I couldn't tell you one damn thing about the most of the sports teams for Boston in the 90s. Couldn't tell you one damn thing. I think the Patriots made a Super Bowl with Bledsoe or something. The Celtics, I couldn't tell you one player on that team. The Bruins weren't very good. And I don't really care about the Red Sox. But like the night and day from getting a franchise face of the league player could be huge for somewhere like Minnesota because it's like, look what it did for New England.
Yeah.
Huge, huge marketing. But all right, we have glazed Anthony Edwards enough. Let's talk about this game one because it is just that. It is just a game one. Timberwolves have early run. Denver answers reasonably quick with a 13-0 run. The Timbies led by 14 in the first, but were still down at the end of the first. Alexander Walker, who was a big piece in terms of the bench in that Sun series, had some really bad turnovers. He wasn't looking too well. Um, Edwards was doing, like we said, pretty much everything for the Timberwolves. Jokic, when is he not doing a lot of stuff? Caldwell Pope also had a great first half, 25 for Edwards in the first. Gobert with more blocks this game than in the entire first round, which I wouldn't have expected with the size of someone like Jokic competing with him. Clearly the Suns are just I don't want to talk about the Suns, but the Timberwolves are able to stay within 10 for most of the game. Edwards has a huge block, feeds Towns for a layup, and he got just a 1-point game. The Timberwolves are up by the end of the third. I'm sorry. And Towns fouls Murray on a 3. And that's what I'm pretty sure that was Towns' fifth. That was Towns' fifth foul. So early in the fourth, Towns is already about a foul out. Murray ties up the game, but Edwards keeps extending the lead. And we glazed Edwards for so long, I damn near forgot that Naz Reid had a damn great ending to this game. He had almost 10 straight points. He hits a huge 3. Edwards bricks a 3, and Naz Reid is there to gobble it up. And then a layup +1. Reid goes off. The Nuggets are trying to keep up with him. And then Gobert has a shot block. Gobert with a dunk, or maybe a 3, I forget. But the big guns, or big guns meaning height, for the Timberwolves come in huge at the end of the game. Edwards, obviously, though, 43, Towns 20. Mike Conley only had 10. I'm sorry, he had 10 assists, 14 points, and Naz Reid with 16. It felt like a lot more than that, especially when I would say like 90% of his points came late in the fourth. Jokic was 8, 9, and 32. Porter 20, Murray 17. So a quiet game for Jamal Murray. We weren't sure if he got banged up in that last game against the Lakers. He definitely didn't look 100% by the end of it. There were a couple plays where I think an AD collided. So the health of Jamal Murray will have to be under investigation for the rest of the series. But real quick, a stat that I saw is Jokic has 13 turnovers in his last 2 games, which is very un-Jokic. So what do you think about the Nuggets so far, Mike? We talked a lot about the Timbies. What about the Nuggets?
Well, I just want to say first and foremost, I'm pretty sure when we played Naz Reid in high school, I don't think he scored as many points as he did in this game. So I'm just gonna say that off the record. But anyways, and I was definitely not guarding him, but that's besides the fact.
Wait, you'd guarded Naz Reid?
I told you a bunch of times on those podcasts, and I felt like you didn't hear it because like you just skimmed over it. But we played him a couple times. He was from Asbury Park. He went to Roselle Catholic. We played him.
I think when you say we, I just because of how like much your brothers were more into basketball than you, I figured you meant like your brother coached a team against Naz Reid, not like I blocked his ass.
No, he was
That's
the same.
crazy.
Well, I definitely did not block his ass, but no, no, yeah, he graduated the same year as me.
I
So
wonder if he remembers you.
probably not, but anyways, yeah, I think what we're seeing is like the Nuggets are vulnerable, and or maybe not even more so that. I think we're also just seeing how much better the West is this year than they were last year. Like the Western Conference is incredible this year,
Yep.
And I don't know. I mean, eventually, I just think the Timberwolves we've known has had it's kind of had the Nuggets number. And like we've even mentioned it, even last year when the Timberwolves were a lot younger and didn't really have the squad that they have now, they were still giving Denver a lot of trouble. So that part wasn't that surprising to me. I knew that they would give Denver the most trouble in the West, but I mean, shit. I actually think that Denver is in some trouble, especially because here's the thing, right? Minnesota still won at Denver. So like
Yes.
yeah, so like so look, I fully expect Denver to win tonight. Like fully expect them to win tonight.
Absolutely, yes.
However, it's 1-1 and you're coming back to Minnesota and those fans are gonna be so riled up, man. You know, like I just feel like Minnesota really has a great advantage and like they will have the upper hand until Denver wins a game in Minnesota. To me, like they could because two things could happen, right? Minnesota wins, say, well, just assume Denver wins tonight, and then Minnesota goes for game three. Minnesota wins, it goes up 2-1. Game four, when they're back at Minnesota, that crowd's going to be even more nuts. However, if Denver comes in game three and beats the shit out of Minnesota on their home court, then that's going to be like, okay, upper hand is at Denver right now. Like they have the edge here and they could just easily win the next four out. So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. I think that again tonight I'm not expecting I'm expecting the Nuggets to win. I mean shit, if Minnesota wins tonight, I mean that would be like then we really have to start having some different conversations. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't like I guess to answer your original question, I'm not too like concerned about Jokic's play because A, I think he'll figure it out, and B, like we expected them to give some trouble. So
Yeah, that's what I was saying the same thing to Brent. I was like, dude, I'm like, Nuggets win tonight. The series is tied. It's pretty much. I don't want to say it's a meaningless game because no games are meaningless in the playoffs. But I mean, like, it really won't change much because other than the fact that they're not down 2-0. I mean, I think I don't think there's any realm of possibility against any team that Denver goes down 2-0. That's just not in the realm of possibilities in my brain. So
yeah,
tonight's game is so meaningless to me just because I just can't even like fathom the thought of that happening.
yeah,
Um, but obviously, crazy things happen. It could, but that's just how I look at it. It's like tonight, like I'll throw it on in the background for some shits and giggles, but it's not gonna be like something I'm invested in because I really like don't see the Timberwolves pulling out this one, and that's not saying anything against the Timberwolves. It's just I feel like they have no reason to play like that. They pulled out a win on the road against Denver, what they probably felt that they needed to do to assert themselves as, hey, we are a threat to you. And they already did that. So did what they needed to do. Game two coming up, they could extend on and just make it otherworldly domination. But I just don't think that they feel the necessity to do that.
yeah.
But any comments on the struggles of Jokic though, with 13 turnovers or potentially Murray being hurt, or what do
Well,
you think about that real quick?
I think I just said that I wasn't so worried about the Jokic thing because I knew that they were going to give. I knew that Minnesota gives him trouble usually. So, and I know that he played, and I think too you're carrying over from the game prior to that as well. But for me, I'll just repeat it again.
Yep.
Jokic is he figures it out. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. And he's had these moments before, so nothing has shown me yet that he's not gonna figure it out. As far as Murray, this has been the story all season. It's been not even
What?
all season, but even the year before they won the finals. A lot of people give them slack because the Warriors beat them up in the first round that year, but like Murray was hurt, and like we got to see like when Murray is healthy, they're a completely different team. But when Murray is injured, it's like they're vulnerable. Like it's you know what I mean. So it's like I think it's a very concerning thing, and it's something that wouldn't shock me if Murray continues to struggle with injuries. And I mean, if at that point, if that happens, you might as well just wrap up the series, in my opinion.
Right. Well, let's hope that Murray stays healthy, but they do continue to put a bow on this series.
Yeah.
I would be a big fan of seeing Denver go out. I honestly would have no qualms with any other one of the teams winning the championship. Obviously, I would have the qualm of a certain team not winning the championship, but I definitely wouldn't have the attitude of, all right, so it wasn't us, but why did it have to be them? So let's see the Nuggets lose. I think that would be great for my attitude continuing in these playoff games. But let's jump into our final game here. The only game 7 of the first round, which the Magic and the Cavs. And we said it after game 5. We feel bad for the people who are like, oh, the no superstars on these teams. I don't want to watch these teams. this went to 7. Your matchups didn't. This one, I'm not going to say it's better, but I'm going to say this. It is certifiably a great series. And especially for these two franchises, one that will be looked back on a lot, especially I think for Orlando, if they continue to go forward with this core group. So let's get into the game really quick. Jarrett Allen misses his third game with a rib injury. That could be huge against the Celtics, who also are missing their big man. Kind of balance it. Obviously, Jarrett Allen missing has nothing on the impact of Porzingis being missing, but it is still an area where, Celtics could get a little help if he's not in. Um, Mobley came back real quick. 2 extremely early blocks in the game. I'm talking like first 5 minutes, but Banchero gets them hot. He gets them hot, 20-10 lead. They end up getting a 18-point lead because of a lot of offensive rebounds. Again, they don't have their guy in there, Jarrett Allen, and it showed. But then what showed was the resilience of the Cavaliers and the fact that, hey, this team is more than just one player. And LeVert, he was playing well. He hasn't really had a great series. Mobley's defense, they were able to cut the lead down to 8. Banchero gets the lead back to 10, but it was a 12-4 run at the end of the half for the Cavaliers. So we're going to overlook the fact that it was a double-digit lead. Might as well have been a single-digit lead after an 18-point lead. Garland, he goes up to 4 fouls really early in the second half, but they barely even needed the man. Donovan Mitchell, some real quick buckets at the end of the third to retake the lead. Max Strus had 11 points in that third quarter. He had a pair of back-to-back threes to retake a lead at one point. Strus came out swinging in that quarter. They end it with an 8-point lead after trailing by 10 at half. So what did that say? They scored that 18. The highest Magic lead of the night was 18, and they scored that 18 and outscored them by 18 in that third quarter. The only positive I can say for the Magic in the fourth was really Banchero. Banchero had like some steam going, but every single time he would get it in, it would be answered, not even always by our boy Donovan Mitchell. It was an all-around effort at the end of the game for the Cavaliers. Maybe not all the way through, but those guys stepped up. Mitchell, 39. Mobley, 16 rebounds and 11 points. LeVert, 15 points. Strus, 13. Obviously, 11 were in the third. And the team had 8 blocks. Mobley had 4 of them. So the Cavaliers are moving on. The Magic are eliminated. And I honestly, I think this was the best scenario for both, or a great scenario for both teams. Obviously, best scenario for Orlando would be to move on. But I mean, I don't think that their aspirations were getting past the first round. Maybe they were when the Magic were 4th in the conference in March, but then obviously they dropped off a bit. They still ended up 5th. But I mean, obviously they'd love to get over that hump. But I think they got 7 great games out of their players. Banchero in this game, a game 7, mind you, 16 rebounds and 38 points. So that's what they needed to see from Banchero in a game like this. This is their guy going forwards. He has the ability to certify himself as a star if he continues playing well next year. Wagner, a very weak game from him, very disappointing. 6 points. Suggs had 10. Carter was the next highest under Banchero with 13. So the rest of the Magic was, but for this game, Banchero was the one they needed to see show up. He did. For the rest of the series, the team played well as well. So what say you?
I mean, I really don't think there's much else to say after that. I think you said it all. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm out of breath.
I think that I think because people haven't been really paying attention to this series, it's extremely under the radar just how good Donovan Mitchell has been.
Oh my God.
But people aren't even really talking about it, And this is, but again, and I'm gonna keep repeating myself, but it's Dude, when you have someone who's capable of playing that good, it is much more scarier than playing against a team like Boncaro. Like, yeah, like I don't think he would be putting up 40 against the Celtics just with our defense. Personally, I don't see that really happening. But
A
Donovan
lot of his
Mitchell,
points were also free throws as well, but continue.
but Donovan Mitchell can and will put up 40 points against us in a lot of these games. So it's like we really got to be on our shit, man. We really got to be because it's like, and again, I'm not worried at all, but I'm more so worried of just making it a longer series than it has to be. You know,
Mhm.
like I think we could easily, like if it was a Magic, I think we'd easily be able to sweep them or at least five. Cavs, I'd like to get it done in five, but I could see it going six. I could. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about that. I agree with you with the Magic. Like, very successful season, a lot of great takeaways, and I don't think that they're. I mean, of course they wanted to get to the second round, but I don't think they're feeling upset today. I think today they're.
Nope.
I think the organization is in a good mood. They feel really good. Like, okay, we're finally in the right direction. We have an identity. We have a potential superstar. So yeah, hats off to the Magic, man. I actually think this is better for the Magic than it is for Cleveland because now Cleveland's going to stay stuck in this whole like, okay, are we just going to stay this team that just makes the second round every year but isn't the Eastern Conference Finals team? Like they're in this weird limbo state, and especially because like in the beginning of the year they went on that crazy winning streak and then they died down and the talk was starting to become
Yep.
okay, are we going to like blow this team up and just start from scratch? Now they're probably not going to do that. So they're going to stay a mediocre team and just, I don't know, just hope that Donovan Mitchell just gets better and better. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think how much better can the guy get? But
Yeah.
so yeah, I definitely think this was a more beneficial thing for the Magic. But I mean, hey, to win a playoff series, that's also a good thing too. So yeah.
I think I think out of every player on any team, so this is gonna be a hard thing to describe, but let me see if I can do it well. Out of a team, I think Donovan Mitchell is definitely the MVP of the whole league just because of the how little help he got. You know what I mean? Like for example, like let's say Tatum was better than him in the first round, but he had Brown and Derek White backing him up. Obviously, that was very helpful. Mitchell didn't have much help and was single handedly carrying this team on his back. I don't think there was anyone else in the first round, honestly, who did that more than Donovan Mitchell. So unless you can think of a name right now, I certainly can't. So props to Donovan Mitchell. He was unbelievable. I just took a quick look at the expiring contracts for the Magic. They got Markel Fultz retire or probably retiring, I would say, and Gary Harris, who's also running out. Other than that, this should be an identical team as to this year, unless they try to make a couple moves. And I'll be honest, if I was the Magic, this is what I would do. I would keep this same team. I would be insanely quiet during the offseason. Like you almost forget they exist for the millionth time during the summer, and then see how your core plays during the regular season, and then at the deadline add somebody. Because I was saying at that I don't know why they didn't think to add anybody at the deadline. You got a great young team here, and usually what you do when you have a great young team looking to make a first playoff round as a group is you grab someone who has the playoff experience. Could you imagine had they grabbed like Siakam? They would have made they I think they would have beat the Cavaliers with Siakam, probably still gone to seven, but I think they definitely would have done a lot more of a number on the Cavaliers. Hell, they probably would have had home court because it was such a close margin at the end. So I think they got to learn from their mistake of not grabbing somebody at the trade deadline with ample playoff experience to mentor the youngins and kind of be like, hey, this is the game we're playing now. This is not regular season basketball. This is how you get it done. I think that's the only mistake we can say that the Magic made over the course of becoming a playoff team. I think other than that, their stars really did step. I'm sorry, their star really did step up. Their team played well in those games in Orlando. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping to see from the Magic next year. These guys plus a veteran presence from a team that might not be making the playoffs.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you agree that they probably would have beat him with Siakam, or at least made it way closer?
Who?
Magic versus Cavs, if Magic had Siakam.
Um, maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think that's who they. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did go after Siakam and Indy just had the better package. I just think that that's a perfect example, and not even just specifically him. I just think Siakam's a great example of the kind of player that I think they should have added at the deadline. You know what I mean? Like someone not even necessarily who won a championship like he did, but like who's been to the finals, who has that experience, who was mentored himself by a guy like Kawhi Leonard, and then just willing to provide more information for those guys.
Yeah.
But like you said, I don't think this is a failure from the Magic. I don't think they're waking up feeling sorry for themselves today. Maybe they're feeling a little sorry for themselves given that it was in 7 and not 6. But I still think they performed extremely well. And at the beginning of the year, if you said that they would play 7 playoff games, I think everyone would take that in a heartbeat for the experience, for Banchero, for Suggs, for Wagner. I think anyone would have taken that. So, great season by the Orlando Magic. I know most of the world won't, but I'll be interested to see how this team move forward next year.
Yeah.
Even covering 3 days. So, I thank you guys for watching. As long as Mike has nothing else to say, like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully, I'll be back to doing it every day because it did.
Okay. I think we lost Joe, but anyways,
A bit of oh yeah, I remember analyses. But with all that said, hopefully.
okay. Couldn't really hear Joe there at the end, but peace out. We'll catch you guys on the next one, and yeah.